The DOT's drug and alcohol testing program is a system of procedures designed to protect the public from thousands of tons of moving metal. But on the ground, those procedures are executed by people, specific, regulated individuals who hold the line on safety. When a test goes wrong, a result is disputed, or a clearance is challenged, the core vulnerability always traces back to the people involved in the process. Was the collector trained? Did the MRO follow procedure? Was the SAP actually certified? Those questions have strict regulatory answers. Knowing those answers and verifying a professional's credentials before a dispute arises is the strongest defense a driver has against a compromised test. Trusting the safety program requires understanding who enforces the rules. Each role in the process must meet explicit federal standards. The first line of defense for a driver navigating a violation is the Substance Abuse Professional, or SAP. They serve as the absolute clinical gatekeeper for the return-to-duty process. Under federal rules, a SAP must hold one of 6 qualifying credentials, complete specialized clinical training, and pass a DOT exam. They conduct a face-to-face initial assessment to prescribe action, and after the driver complies, a final follow-up evaluation. The SAP does not administer the physical return-to-duty drug test. Their role is strictly to evaluate the driver's progress and dictate when they are clinically ready to be tested. This makes the SAP evaluation a high-stakes safety point. An unqualified person clearing a driver who is not rehabilitated puts that driver and everyone on the road with them in physical danger. As of 2026, the question of SAP credentials took on new urgency. A major systemic breach revealed that individuals without clinical credentials operated inside the clearinghouse database for years, issuing fraudulent return-to-duty clearances. Defending against this fraud starts with a mandatory first step. Ask the SAP directly for their specific qualifying credential, the issuing body, their license number, and when it was last renewed. Take those claims and cross-reference them against the issuing organization's public directories. State licensing boards, NADAC, and IC&RC all maintain searchable databases to verify active credentials. Next, demand their DOT SAP qualification training documentation and ask them to confirm their active clearinghouse registration. A legitimate SAP will answer these questions without hesitation or evasion. Aggressively verifying a professional's credentials is not an insult. It is a mandatory regulatory shield required to protect your career from documented fraud. Identifying fraudulent operators requires knowing their methods. The first major behavioral red flag is unsolicited contact. Legitimate SAPs do not solicit clients through social media, private messages, or cold calls. This scale illustrates an indicator of fraud. Legitimate evaluations require clinical time and documentation. Complete clearance packages offered for $100 to $350 cannot cover this time. As this timeline shows, quickly clearing a record without an evaluation is a scam. Providing a CDL number and date of birth upfront is extremely dangerous. That specific combination of information grants bad actors direct access to manipulate your clearinghouse record before an evaluation even begins. If you suspect a prior clearance was fraudulent, you must take immediate action. Contact the FMCSA clearinghouse team directly to report the operator, and consult a DOT compliance attorney to assess your exposure. A fraudulent clearance sitting in your record is a massive legal liability. If an FMCSA audit catches it first, your prohibited status could be reinstated. Protect your career by proactively completing a legitimate process with a verified SAP. Beyond the SAP, the defense network relies on internal corporate and medical authorities. Inside the employer's operation, the Designated Employer Representative, or DER, holds the immediate authority to pull an employee from safety-sensitive duties. The DER operates under a strict regulatory obligation to be constantly reachable. They must coordinate urgent post-accident testing within a narrow 2 to 8 hour window and manage immediate reasonable suspicion removals. Between the laboratory and the employer sits the medical review officer. The MRO must be a specifically trained, licensed physician acting as the quality control layer for drug test results. This flowpath graphic details the MRO's mandatory contact process. A non-negative laboratory result is physically halted at this medical review checkpoint. The MRO investigates legitimate medical explanations, like a valid prescription, before verifying a result as positive and passing it to the employer. Together, the MRO and the DER act as vital procedural protections. They ensure raw data is medically verified and swiftly acted upon before careers and lives are impacted. On the front lines of testing, technicians enforce the physical rules. The breath alcohol technician, or BAT, must complete specific qualification training to legally operate their evidential breath testing device. The BAT follows a rigid procedure. If a screening test is positive, they enforce a mandatory 15-minute wait period before the confirmation test to ensure residual mouth alcohol has dissipated, guaranteeing scientific accuracy. For drug tests, collectors operate under strict facility and procedural requirements. From checking identification to securing the room, their actions establish the legal foundation of the test, the chain of custody. In return-to-duty contexts, the rules tighten further. Collectors must use direct observation to eliminate any opportunity for specimen substitution or tampering. The sequence relies on every participant. A collector secures the sample, the lab tests it, the MRO verifies it, the DER acts on it, and if there is a violation, the SAP dictates the remediation. The integrity of the DOT safety framework relies absolutely on every individual in this interconnected chain holding the correct credentials, verifying the facts, and executing their duties flawlessly.